Hi, everyone, and welcome to the event host webinar. First of all, please let me apologize for the technical difficulties. I'm so sorry that you weren't able to hear the audio the last time we tried this at 4 o'clock on May 2nd. I hope that didn't inconvenience anyone. Sometimes technology can be tricky. So again, I deeply apologize for that, and hopefully it wasn't an inconvenience, but you'll be able to share this with everybody on your team, watch it again if you need to at a later date, and just keep it for reference. So hopefully that will be helpful as well. So let me welcome you to this webinar. I'm your not your event, your webinar host, Sunana Chand. You've been getting lots of emails from me, and so I am so happy to have this opportunity to speak directly to you today. Usually we would have the ability on Google Hangouts for you to ask me questions. Of course, because this isn't live, you're not able to ask me questions live, but if you'd like to email me any questions you have, I try to respond within a 24-hour period because I know that your questions are really important and I want to make sure they get answered as soon as possible. So I'll show my email at the end of this message. You should have it already from other emails I've sent. And I just would encourage you to please ask any questions that you have. I'll also refer to the showcase on the side. You should still have the showcase even though the webinar is not live. There are several links in the showcase that will be helpful to you as we go along. So just make sure you keep that showcase sidebar up on the right-hand side there as we move along. So first, I just want to thank you for hosting an event for Remake Learning Days. Remake Learning Days sincerely would not happen. It would not be happening without each and every one of you hosting events for Remake Learning Days. So thank you so much for all that you've done, for all the hard work and planning that you've put into each of these events. If you go to remakelearningdays.org, you will see over 270 events that are happening all across the region, in schools, in libraries, in museums, in after-school organizations, in businesses. There are centers of faith that are hosting events. There are community centers that are hosting events. It's really an amazing collaborative opportunity for an incredible amount of people in our region. So thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you've done and all the hard work you've put in. The Remake Learning Days team really appreciates every single one of you. So here's an agenda for our next half an hour together. We're going to talk about things that you can do before your event, things you can do during your event, and things that we would love for you to do after the event so we can have some data on the effectiveness and impact of Remake Learning Days. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the Neighborhood Navigator program and then share some other updates with you as well. So let's first talk about what you can do before your event. So Remake Learning Days is a week out, so you have between a week and 2 weeks. And here are some things that you can do in that time. The first is to check for your mailing. So you should have gotten it either today, or if you haven't gotten it today, you'll get it in the next few days. It's going to be basically a packet with a bunch of different materials. And depending on the size of your event, you're going to get a different amount of materials. So we used the expected attendance line in the event host when you filled out the form to host an event to determine how many materials you're going to get. And right now I'm just going to go through each one of those materials so you have an idea of what you're going to get in the mail. The first thing you'll get is a newspaper insert, and when it's folded out, one side of it looks like this. It's pretty big, and it went out in every single Tribune review, I think either this week or late last week. And we got a lot of overruns of those inserts so that we could give them to you. So again, you'll get a number of these that's proportional to the amount of people that you expected when you filled out the host and event form. And you can hand these out before the event. You can hand them out during the event. It's really up to you. But this is one thing that you're going to get in your packet. You'll also get these Enter to Win cards. So these cards are being handed out before events. You can hand them out before your event. You can also hand them out during your event. And we're asking that you collect these. So at the bottom here, you can see that there's an area where people can fill out their name and address and phone number to enter to win an iPad. And so if you could collect those in the envelope that we're also going to give you and send them back to us, we'll take care of the drawing. We'll take care of making sure that all these individual, that we're actually picking a winner and contacting them. All you have to do is just make sure that you're collecting those and putting them in an envelope. People might also bring these from outside of your event. They're going home to schools. They're being passed out at community centers and other places. So people might actually bring these with them to an event. And whether you're handing them out or whether they're bringing them with them, please, please make sure you collect them so we can enter everyone in. Folks just have to attend one event and fill out this form, and they're eligible to win a prize. This is the general enter to win card. There's actually a couple different versions of this card, which I'm going to talk about towards the end of this presentation. But for now, this is the one that you're getting in the packet, and this is the one that every single one of you will see. So that's the enter to win card. You'd also be getting surveys to hand out to your event attendees. So it's really important that we get some information on who's coming to each of these events. And we're happy to share this data with you after we have it so that you can actually have it as well. This is also an enter to win situation. So if folks fill out a survey, they can also be entered into a different drawing. And there are just some, I posted, you can see some of the survey here, a screenshot, so you kind of know what it looks like. But there are just general questions about, have you heard of Remake Learning before? How did you feel about today's event? Have you heard of STEAM, right? Science, technology, engineering, arts, and math learning. And so we're just trying to gather some information on what folks know about innovative learning in this region. You can hand out paper surveys, but we also suggest that if you have laptops and access to the internet at your location, at your event site, that you actually set up a laptop so folks can do this online. It's a little bit easier, and that way you don't have to mail all that paper back to us. But we will ask that you also, if you do hand out paper surveys, collect them and put them in the envelope with the enter to win cards as well, and send those back to us no later than May 16th. So this is just the envelope that you'll get, again, to put the surveys and the enter to win cards in that envelope. We suggest just having it at the event, put everything in there as you collect it, close it, and mail it back to us on May 16th. So you will be hearing from me after Remake Learning Days is over to remind you to send us back all of those things you collect during your event. The mailing will also include this Join the Remake Learning Movement, a really general flyer about Remake Learning and how to get involved in the network, which you can hand out before your event, during your event, and after the event as well. It's not Remake Learning Days related. It's more related to just getting involved in the Remake Learning Network in general. And so is this. It's a purple insert that talks about the Remake Learning Network. Again, it's not specific to Remake Learning Days, so you can hand it out whenever, including after your event is over. So other questions and information about the mailings. If you don't receive the mailing by Thursday, please email me. Again, my email is going to be at the end of this webinar at sunana@remakelearning.org, and we'll see what's going on and make sure we get you your materials before your events. And if you run out of materials, that's okay. We're trying to hand out as much as we can. We're encouraging you to get rid of everything if you can. Again, if you run out of the enter to win cards, folks can actually just write their name, address, phone number on a piece of paper, and you can put that in the envelope to send back to us, as long as it's, of course, legible. Excuse me. So now I'm going to move on to some other questions that deal with what's going to happen before the event. So you're going to get your mailing. You're also hopefully going to tell us if people are coming from out of the region. So in your showcase on the right-hand side of this webcast, you'll see a form that's called the Out-of-Town Visitors Form. And if you're expecting a visitor to come to your event that's not in West Virginia or Pennsylvania, they're coming from outside of the state or they're coming from outside of the country, please fill out this form so we can keep track of that data as well. And again, if you have any questions about that, please let me know. Another thing you can do before your event is we've been asked by a few folks if there's a a press release you can use just for your event. So we created one of those. And again, that's a link in the showcase section. You'll see a link to a Google document that basically has a very generic Remake Learning Days press release where you can enter the information for your specific event and send that to press if you'd like. So again, this is completely optional, but if you wanted to send information about your event to press, to get their attention, you are more than welcome to do that. We wanted to make it easy for you. So feel free to copy and paste the information from the Google documents, create your press release and send it to any local press in your area. Again, that's totally optional. We just wanted to leave that an open option if you'd like to use it. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about some things that we'd love for you to do during the event itself. There are only a couple of things because we know that you will be running around and organizing and leading your event, but there are a couple of things that are really important to help with when your event's actually going on. One is to keep a rough track of how many adults and kids come to your event. So not saying stand there with a clicker and tell me exactly how many people came. But just keeping a rough estimate would be great. We'd love to have that data later to see how many people actually came as a whole to all of these Remake Learning Days events. And then I've been talking about this already, but just hand out and collect the surveys and the Enter to Win cards. So again, we suggest collecting them in the envelope that you'll use to return the surveys to us and the Enter to Win cards. Make sure you're collecting both Enter to Win cards that you hand out and ones that folks are bringing with them as well. Okay, so after the events, what are some things that we'll ask of you? And you'll be hearing from me as well about some of these things post Remake Learning Days. We're hoping that you mailed the surveys and cards back in the envelope that we provided, so no later than May 16th if you could. And if you're hosting multiple events, feel free to mail them back in one envelope. That's totally fine. The return address will be listed on the envelope, so that should be pretty easy. We'll also ask you to fill out a simple report form. So again, in the showcase section on the right-hand side of your screen, there's a link to the post-event reporting form. Really simple, really short, just basic information like the approximate number of attendees who were kids versus how many were adults. It also asks how we, being the Remake Learning Days team, can improve. We really value your feedback. This is the first ever Remake Learning Days. We've had some technical difficulties, as you saw today, when the audio didn't work on this very webinar. We've had issues with the website. We've been trying to be as communicative as possible, but we would love your feedback on how we can better communicate with the event hosts as well. So please, 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 if you could fill out that post survey, that would be great. And I will be following up with you after Remake Learning Days. I highly suggest that you take a look at that survey so you can kind of see the types of questions before you hold your event. But again, really basic, should not take you more than 5 minutes to complete after your event. And we're also asking that you fill that out by May 16th. So that's it for before, during, and after your events. I now want to talk about the Neighborhood Navigator program, which is a targeted program that is for 4 neighborhoods in and near Pittsburgh. This project was funded by the Carnegie Corporation of New York. They wanted to see what could happen if there was a targeted strategy in 4 different neighborhoods to really promote and encourage events happening in those neighborhoods. So the 4 neighborhoods are the East End, the North Side, and the South Hilltop in Pittsburgh. And then right outside of Pittsburgh, the Mon Valley, which is a huge area. But we focused on some schools right on the Mon in the suburbs of Pittsburgh. So what this program basically entails is a targeted community strategy. There are 4 neighborhood leads: the Consortium for Public Education in the Mon, Homewood Children's Village in the East End, APOS, the Allegheny Partners for Out of School Time, and One North Side in the North Side, and the Urban Kind Institute in the South Hilltop. And basically, it's like the Enter to Win card, but more specific to these neighborhoods. And all 4 of these organizations are working on dissemination strategies for the Enter to Win cards for their neighborhoods. And so we're actually handing out a lot. There are a lot of events happening in those neighborhoods, and we're doing more targeted on-the-ground community outreach to those neighborhoods. So you've seen this slide before, right? I showed it a little bit earlier. These are the general enter to win cards that you're going to get in your mailing. You're definitely going to see these. You might also see a card that looks like this. Very similar. I'm going to point out some of the differences. So this is the Neighborhood Navigator card for the Mon Valley. You'll see in the first arrow that it's pointing to something that says Remake Learning on the Mon. So this is the card specific to the Mon Valley. There is a logo up at the top, the Education Consortium's logo, since they're the lead in that area. You'll see the back is also a bit different. If you look on the back of the Enter to Win cards, it's just some basic information about Remake Learning Days. Whereas on the back of the Mon Valley card, there are actually 10 events that are happening in the Mon Valley. And so it lists out some of those events. And on the bottom, there's an Enter to Win card. It's actually not an iPad. They're different prizes. You'll see the consortium's logo again there. So you'll see there are slight differences in this card. You do not have to mail it back to a separate place. You can put all of these cards in the same envelope, and they're all going back to the same place, which is to me. Don't feel like you have to separate these out. I just wanted you to know so you weren't confused that there are going to be some cards that look similar but are a little bit different. Some of you may not see a card that looks like this at all, but I just wanted you to know, in case you do see a card that looks like this, that it's still part of Remake Learning Days, and it should be treated like any other Enter to Win card. So this is the Mon Valley card. I just wanted to point out that this is what the East End card looks like. You can see East End written up here at the top, and the Homewood Children's Village logos as they're the team lead, the neighborhood lead. This is the North Side card. Again, the North Side written at the top here. A-Post logo down here as they're the neighborhood lead on that neighborhood. The South Hilltop, again, name of the neighborhood here. Urban Kind, which is the South Hilltop neighborhood lead, is listed there as well. And that's it. So those are your 4 Neighborhood Navigator cards. Again, look very similar to the Enter to Win cards. You may see some of these cards, you may not, but just wanted to let you know that there is a targeted outreach strategy in 4 neighborhoods. If you get these cards, again, please just treat them like any other Enter to Win card, put them in the envelope with the surveys, and send them back to us. Again, if you have any questions about the Neighborhood Navigator program, please just email me. Again, my email will be at the end of this presentation. Okay, other updates. So the only other update I have is to remember to market your own events. So I've sent out a few emails about this, but I just wanted to restate it. I put the Google Drive, the public Google Drive folder with logos and pictures and anything else you might need, again, in the showcase on the right-hand side of your webinar. So you can access a social media toolkit there. Make sure that you're following Remake Learning on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. There are lots of updates about Remake Learning Days in those places. And feel free to live tweet from your event using the hashtag. We're going to keep very close eye on hashtag Remake Days on Twitter and Facebook that week. And we're going to retweet things and comment and engage. So please make sure that you're live tweeting and showing us all the wonderful things that are happening that week at all of your events. Another way to market your event is through newsletters and websites. So I wanted to just show you some examples of how organizations are doing this. So on the left there, you're going to see PPS. I actually just took screenshots from my phone to show you that how great it appears even on mobile when organizations are really owning Remake Learning Days and talking about how they're celebrating. So on the left, you'll see Pittsburgh Public Schools and kind of how they put a page on their website about Remake Learning Days and how they're celebrating. And then on the right-hand side, that's the Intermediate Unit 1 in Washington and Fayette counties of Pennsylvania. Again, they put, a website up, and these are just 2 of a lot of examples of organizations who are doing this. So thank you so much if you've put this on your website already and are sharing it out with your networks. So I also wanted to show, this is from the Fred Rogers Center, but this is a newsletter that came out from the Fred Rogers Center recently. And this one was great because it talked about Remake Learning Days. Remake Learning Days was sent to all the Fred Rogers newsletter subscribers. And they also, if you can see at the bottom here, talked about their event that they're putting on for Remake Learning Days. So that's really important. I mean, certainly we're thrilled people are talking about Remake Learning Days, but make sure you're also sharing how you're celebrating and promoting your event to your networks as well. Just wanted to show you a few examples. And if you have any questions about how to promote your event or how I can make it easier for you to promote your events, please let me know, and I would be happy to help you out. So that's the end of this webinar. My email address is up there, sunana@remakelearning.org. Please feel free to share this webinar with anyone on your team who's helping with your event. And please encourage anyone on that team to email me and ask any questions that you have. I'll remind you again to please check your event on the website if you haven't already. I know many of you have, to make sure it's just how you want your event presented on the site. And that's about it. If you have any other questions, please let me know. I'm always available to you. Thank you again for hosting an event for Remake Learning Days. Again, Remake Learning Days is happening because of you. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful day and have a wonderful Remake Learning Days. Thank you.